Okay, another quick update from the shop on the Wishbone frame build. As reported last time, I knew that these saddles were bent and thought I was going to have to heat those up at my body shop buddy's place, but I just decided to grab my big crescent wrenches, and on the bottom one, which is a little hard to see, I was able to twist that and it allowed this tube to sit down into that shape on the bottom saddle plate. So that one's good. And then on this one, it was still up quite a ways as shown in the last video. Basically, I put a shim up underneath there so it didn't get bent out in here, and then grabbed my big crescent wrenches, one here and one here, and just pulled down as hard as I could, and I'm pretty happy with that. It's almost, I mean, there's a little bit of gap there. If you put a clamp on there with just the slightest of pressure, it pulls the tube down, so I think it'll be good when it comes time to weld that. Once I got those pieces lined up, I was able to slide the tube through. I'm still using my wood dowels. What you can see is I put a straight edge on top of those tubes, the old one and the new one, and you can see that I have really good alignment. It's closed onto the top of both of those, front and back, so that's nice. Also, you can see I started doing the prep for eventual welding. That's what it looks like on the other side. Okay, moving on. Again, I mentioned early on I bought a set of aftermarket frame rails, full-length ones, and I didn't think I was probably going to use them because I had enough of the backs that I thought I could use, and then I had, gosh, as it turns out, an assortment of fronts that I can use to patch the front ones. But I did set them up there today and kind of clamped them together just to see, number one, it shows, you know, these things are way longer than they need to be, and I'm going to keep them that way till I'm sure all the tubes are pointed the correct direction. And so the frame will be back there. And then also just to see how the bends compare. And you can see, I mean, I couldn't get them right on the money, even lined up, but it's pretty close. You can see that, and that's not just the angle of the camera, that the bend is different on the aftermarket ones than that. And a view from the top, they are, well, this one moved a little bit, but you can see it looks like this tube got cut off right about where that bend was. This is the aftermarket one. We can't be guaranteed that that bend is even the correct shape or at the right angle. And the same thing on this side. The early original tube has kind of a very well-defined hoop coming out, and then the other one is just kind of a gradual, lazy bend getting out. And then this one, again, looks like it got cut right where the bend was, whoever took the hacksaw to the last frame. And this thing does not seem like it's pointed to where it would need to go into the axle plates, but they probably could be made to work. I might use them for something else, but it would take a lot of work. Also made some decisions on motor mounts. This was the mount that was in the frame, as reported previously, cracked. And then also you can see that this thing is bent in like that. And this one, the top is bent in like that. So I pulled this one out, this one, which I had in my pile, and looked at it again. I'm thinking, well, maybe it's not so bad. That rib is kind of like that. It definitely has more meat back here and also more meat right there. This was reinforced with more material, which helped prevent that cracking problem on it. The doggone thing was never drilled and tapped with the holes, although, interestingly enough, you can see where they did the pinprick, where they need to go. Now, the curious thing about this is even though it's a panhead looking front mount, instead of being made for the 1-inch frame tubes, this is 1-inch tube. This is 1 1/8", which is used on the dual glide and shovel head frames. Fits like a glove. So it's panhead on the top, and then it's like shovel head on the bottom. So what I'm going to do, this is 1 1/8" tube. I need to get the idea of that bored out to 1 inch, and then I'll have some shims which get welded in here and take up the difference between the 1 1/8" tube and the 1 inch. Then that'll sit down there. I just think this one here is going to be too hard to fix. Fix that crack, get that thing bent back so that it'll sit on the frame tubes properly, but then also so that this plane here is parallel and at the same height as the rear motor mount. So again, chopper frame, this one's going to be used. Okay, a couple minutes longer than I wanted, but things are lining up nicely and making a little bit of progress. As always, like, share, subscribe, comment if needed. Thanks, bye.